I think one of the things that I see with women, and I would say if I'm really transparent, I might even wrestle with, which is I don't want to be too confident that somebody thinks I'm cocky. And I also don't want to be too confident that I might make somebody else feel less confident. How do we rectify those situations? Because I think as women, we think, I don't think men think like that, personally.
No, not at all. I love this question. I've really, as you know, as I've said, have really been working on my confidence and just like, how do I really go towards my goals and feel good about myself as a result? And I'm really proud of how far I've come, really proud. And a few years ago, I went on a trip with another female friend. And it was our first trip that we've ever been on. And I show up and we're like, oh, what do you want to do? And I'm fed up of just being like, oh, I don't know, what do you want to do? Like just actually say what you want to do and then find a beautiful medium. And so like if we went on vacation, you said you wanted to do something, like I'd be like, oh no, I'm not really in the mood. You know what, why didn't you go do it? I'll go do my thing and then we'll just meet up. And in that interaction, over time, like on the second day, she like got triggered and I didn't realize it. And she turned to me and she's like, you're really intimidating. And I was like, what? I was shocked. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you just say what you want. And you know, if I feel like I have to do it. And I was like, oh no. And so I was like, let's talk about it. Me saying what I want doesn't mean that I'm diminishing what you want. Me saying what I want is hoping to give you the power to then say what you want so that we can then either come to a compromise or we just go our separate ways and then we join each other in the evening.
Wow.
But I don't want to diminish me saying what I want to make you comfortable. So let's talk about it. Maybe I'm using language that's triggering you. What's the language that I'm using? And so I'm just very open, especially when it's with a friend, to just discuss let's put it all on the table. Like, why am I triggering you? What have I said? And then maybe I need to look at how my language that I used. And maybe I was being arrogant in this moment. Okay, well, next time I'm going to do better. I'm not perfect. And so I try to go in to be confident with myself, not diminish another woman, because I think that's where the cockiness comes, where people feel like you're diminishing them in order to get confidence. But I'm not. I'm just trying to be myself in my own confidence. I'm trying to be respectful for the other person and then accept that absolutely your confidence may trigger somebody else. And that isn't on you. But what is on you is to assess whether their assessment of you is correct or not.
Do you know, I had a situation recently. I was in Ibiza with a bunch of women for a menopause retreat. I was hosting or leading.
In Ibiza, nice.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you. It was really nice. And anyways, there was this group of women. They were so beautiful. And every woman in there was massively successful. And it was so collaborative and wonderful. And one day, this woman came up to me. We were doing all these hikes. And she said, I have to be really transparent with you. And she was like, I didn't like you. When we first got here 2 days ago, I didn't like you. And I was like, I'd never had a woman come up to me and say that so boldly. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, can you tell me why? Like, and she goes, no, it has nothing to do with you. I just realized that when you shared your mission for women, it triggered in me that I wasn't doing enough. And so I projected that onto you as it was something I didn't like about you. But when I sat with it for 24 hours, I realized it was actually more to do with me. And I just want to say thank you to you, because me not liking you 2 days ago actually helped me understand what I needed to work on and how I could improve. And I was like, that is the most beautiful interaction with another woman that I've ever had, in just full transparency. But when we look culturally at how women interact together, we don't interact like that. We do exactly what you said, where we hold stuff to ourselves, and then maybe we'll go bitch about it with other women. We'll be like, oh my God, do you remember last night when we were out and so said such and such? So we don't even go right to the person and try to address it. And we don't seem to have a self-awareness that when something bothers us, that is our button that was pushed. Just like this beautiful woman that came to me and said it was her button. And then I felt so bonded to that woman by the time we left because of her vulnerability to do that. So when we're looking at our female friendships and how we show up, is there a way that we can support each other so collectively we can start to raise each other's confidence?
I think the truth is, while I love to want to change other people, they have to want it for themselves.
Yeah, you're too good.
And I wish I could get. I'm sorry. You know,
Yeah.
and so if they want it and they have a growth mindset, then you can talk through things. But I think you have to be willing and open to see that and hear the message and then work inwards about what is the thing that's triggering you. And so because I was close friends with this girl that I went on a trip with and she knew who I was able to just be very honest and say, look, if it was me, let's look at that. What language did I use? But I will never, and this is part of my own growth, I won't apologize if I don't actually mean it. Now, if I've hurt my friend's feelings, that wasn't intentional at all. So if I hurt your feeling, I'm sorry your feelings were hurt. But let's actually talk through this. So I think it's important to know if they're willing to or not, first of all. And then if they are, greet them where they are. You know that everybody's going to have, everyone's going to have like different levels that there are in their growth. And so if you had met me 8 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to say this. I may have been triggered by you because you're very confident. You're very loud and I love it.
But very loud.
But that may have made me like maybe go inwards.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, she's very confident now. Why?
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I was bullied by girls, not by boys.
Me too. Let's stop on this because this is too important. A lot of women were bullied by other women. I don't understand. If we go to that 14-year-old girl you're trying to help, why do we do that? And if we're not aware of it, we continue it through our adult life. And one of my major messages to women has been, we need to collaborate, not compete. And yet I don't know if we know what that looks like. Many women don't know what that looks like.
Yeah. I didn't know what that looked like. And for the longest time, I had one very close female friend and we were both teased. So we kind of like bonded together over being bullied at school. Trauma bonded, and then a lot of my friends were boys because they didn't have that same behavior. They weren't really backstabbing me like, a lot of girls had backstabbed me. I thought someone was my friend. She did this whole setup where her and the popular boy in school that I fancied, he came up to me one day and he's like, we had this school trip and I was about 11 years old. And he was like, we're going on this trip and there's a dance. I want you to be my first dance. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, he can't believe that he wants me. And it was all a setup. We get there and I walk in and he's dancing with the girl that's supposed to be my friend and she's the popular girl. And I found out after there was all a setup, they just wanted to embarrass me. And so that story, I'm 44 years old. So imagine at 11, that story, how much that stuck with me. So I had the idea that women weren't to be trusted, that women are only willing to step on you to get ahead. And when I turned probably in my 20s, I was like, but I love women.
Right. Me too. Right.
And I was like, I just need to be me. And if women reject you, Lisa, then you have to be okay with being rejected. And so that allowed me to say, how do I show up to have the friends that I really want? You end up calling the friends that are like you.
That's right.
And so you end up
you
do attract them. But I think it takes the boldness to just say, I'm going to be me. And what does me look like? Me looks like being the person that calls friends homies. Yeah. Me looks like being the person that when I've met you for the first time, I'm going to come in for a big hug. Yeah. And if you don't want a hug and you turn your nose up, then you're not my peeps.
Oh my God, are you talking about you or me? Because I feel like that's all. I have a whole thing about hugs, by the way. You can't come back from a hug. Once you go in on a hug, there's no you can't be pull your hand back. You're in. So you're either going all the way in. You can kind of pat, but yes, so true. Yeah. I love that.